Hey. How y'all doing today? I thought I'd come on here and talk a little bit about my experience going to St. Luke's Hospital. Here a few weeks ago, I kept feeling bad, and Malou did too. We kept feeling bad and having cold chills, and all of our joints were getting stiff and sound like somebody's crunching up a plastic bottle. And had LBM, vomiting. Wasn't running no fever. Blood pressure was fine. Sugar was fine. Oxygen level was fine. But just had some strange things going on. Well, Malou seemed to get over it, and I just seemed to keep getting worse and worse. Finally, we decided to go to the hospital because I started getting dizzy and everything. And it was probably it wasn't no probably, it was my fault. I wanted to go to St. Luke's. It was supposed to be the good hospital, so that's where I wanted to go. And the problem's not with St. Luke's, it's trying to get to St. Luke's. I mean, we took a cab because I didn't feel good or anything, and it's probably a little over an hour and a half drive there. And I think that cab took every little back road. They claimed it was a shortcut, but it was just one block turn, 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 all the way there. Now that was the issue, and traffic backed up everywhere. And we finally got there. Now when we got to St. Luke's, I had to give them. You pull into the drive, and it's kind of like one of them fancy hotels where they got the greeter out there. They come to your car, and I started getting out. And they asked me, a few questions about what I was there for, and I told them, And they didn't take me into the hospital. They took me into this like an office with a little room on the side of it. It had a hospital, one of their roll-around hospital beds. And this room was probably 10 feet long and maybe 6 feet wide. Now, I got in there and I laid down on that bed, and I guarantee if there wasn't 8, 10 people in there working on me at the same time, there wasn't none. I had one person checking blood pressures and vitals, one person doing the EKG, one person asking questions and information, and one person checking blood, and one checking sugar levels, and it was just like pop, 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 pop. They wasn't messing around. I'll have to give them, they jumped in there like I was the only patient in the world. And from there, they started getting all my blood and everything, and then they took me on into the emergency room. And the emergency room, we laid there a while until they came back with all my answers to my blood work and everything, and EKG and all that. It said my blood pressure was fine, the EKG was fine, sugar was fine, but my potassium was extremely low, and my platelets was extremely low. And I don't even know what a platelet is, but they said my platelets were low. And from there, they took me on up to a room. I had to do a dual room, two people in a room, I don't know what you call it. And it had like it wasn't even a curtain, it was more than a curtain, kind of like these big conference room divider things between us. And I think the people on the other side said they were from Italy or Sweden or somewhere. And from there, they already had the drip in me and everything, but they started giving me stuff for my platelets and my potassium. I said, well, heck, I've been eating 4 bananas a day. They said, and you're, they said, even with that, your potassium is extremely low. And after an hour or so, they came back, said, you have dengue. And okay, I reckon that's when they got my blood work back. And they started treating me for all that, you know. Now, I've heard the stories about you can't leave a Philippine hospital until your bill is paid in full. And they mean it. They will not let you out there until your bill is paid. Well, they even came up there and told me they wanted me to stay there 3 or 4 days. You know, give me what they estimated my expenses was gonna be, and it was more than my budget could allow. So we ended up staying there about 24 hours. I checked out the next day, and surprisingly, just because we checked out early, they didn't just go bye. They gave me the prescriptions for all the medicine I need to continue to take for my platelets and potassium and all that. Gave them when to take it and all that. And we told them we were going to go to a smaller hospital that we make it save money, but we didn't. We went home. And, you know, they were just as courteous and nice and helpful in every way possible. The nurses, just as helpful. The hospital was the hospital is different than an American hospital, but there ain't nothing wrong with it. It's just as nice and clean, and I imagine if I had had a private room, it would have been really nice, but even with the dual room, it was a nice hospital. Wasn't no TV, not in a dual room, you know, maybe if you had a private room, you might have a TV, but and we had heard through the grapevine that you had to go get your own food. Well, that's not true. Malou had took off downtown to get me some food, and while she was gone, they brought me food. You know, that evening and the next morning. So that's not true. They will feed you, and it wasn't that bad of food. I mean, it's hospital food, but it wasn't bad. I ate it, along with the stuff that Malou brought me. Well, I don't want to make her mad, but but yeah, I don't have not one complaint with the hospital there. Now, here's the bad part. Yes, I did have to pay my bill before I could leave, and I didn't have that much money on me. So I only paid for like a 24 hours plus doctor and medicine and all that. Now, what I ended up paying was probably what I would have paid in an American hospital, just paying the deductible. Now, maybe a little bit more than what I would have paid for a deductible. But for 24 hours of running all those tests, EKGs, blood sugar, I mean, you name it, they ran it. And I told them that my neck and all was stiff and everything, and they were already had. Now here's something different than an American hospital. You go in an American hospital and say with a fever, flu, pneumonia, they treat you for that and that only. Well, I told them my neck and all was really hurting, but I had broken my neck years past, and that might have just been why it was hurting. Well, they had already scheduled me an MRI. I mean, they were going to take care of any problem I had all at one time while I was there. They was going to take care of everything, but I knew I couldn't afford an MRI or several more days in the hospital, so I told them, cancel the MRI. I've been living with it for 50 years, because I broke my neck when I was 18. So I knew what that issue was, and I reckon I can live with that pain the rest of my life. But yeah, they unlike an American hospital where they treat you for one thing at a time, if you want something else treated, you got to go home and come back with another appointment to get treated for something else. Not there. They was going to check out everything. And I like that. I really do. I hate American hospitals. You got to go in there. I broke this finger and this finger. Well, they're going to doctor on this one. You got to make another appointment for that one. I hate that about American hospitals. You go in, you won't get everything took care of while you're in there. But I will say you need, if you're a foreigner coming here, unless you have a lot of money, I've heard of some people say they self-insure, but unless you have that kind of cash flow, you need to have insurance. When you hear about all these people talking about the cost of living in the Philippines, they don't ever mention insurance. And just like anywhere in the world, insurance is not cheap. And like me, I've had cancer and a broke neck. Well, guess what? They're going to put a rider on that insurance. I think for 2 years. So, and I got another video coming up on that. I'm still doing a lot of research, trying to make sure I got all my facts before I, say anything. But, yeah. So if you do come, if you're coming on vacation, get what they call traveler's insurance. It's not that expensive. I didn't realize how cheap it was, but it's only like for a month or two or something, 3 or something like that. It's not a permanent insurance. But they do have insurances here, and from what I hear, they're pretty good insurances. But and as I said, I'm still investigating that one. So with that, y'all be careful. If you're coming overseas, make sure you have traveler's insurance, and don't be scared of St. Luke's Hospital. It's a top-notch hospital. The only problem with it is getting there. If you think you don't wait to the last minute and you're on your dying breath decide to go, you better go ahead of time, because it's going to take you a while to get there and fight the traffic to get there. So just keep that in mind, Don't wait to the last. Us men folk, we seem to put it off and put it off and put it off till we just have to go, and that's kind of what I did. I should have went the first week when I started getting sick, but I put it off and put it off until I thought I wasn't going to make it anymore. I started getting scared, and that's when I decided to go. And I was like a zombie riding all the way there, because I felt so bad. So yeah, don't do me like me. Just if you start feeling bad, go to the doctor, and they will take good care of you. With that, y'all have a good day, and be careful out there. God bless.